All right, hello everyone. We are back doing a Puppy 2 draft on Underdog Fantasy. We are drafting from the 112. All right, just getting into it here. Seems like everything is kind of par for the course in terms of the draft board so far. TT, what's up, chat? How you doing? How does the audio sound? Is it sounding better than when I was on my AirPods? Hopefully this new mic is was worth the money. We are coming up on the clock here at the 1-2 turn. AJ Brown does go. I think I'm going to go with Amon-Ra. And let's go with can still kind of hear the fan though. Okay, I will fix that. Let's go with Devon, and you know what? Let's take Brian Thomas. Is that quick enough? I was. Good. Okay. Can still kind of hear the fan though. Okay. I move the mic a little closer to me. I personally don't hear the fan coming from my computer, possibly the fan behind me. Let me go and see if I can turn that down. Okay. I can hear that computer fan now. Maybe I can adjust this a little bit. How about now? Maybe that's too low. How does that sound now? A little better? A little insulated from the fan, hopefully. Sounds better now? Okay, I think we have this at minus 25.6 decibels, so I think that kind of, the fan noise shouldn't be any louder than that, shouldn't be registering anything. See it ticking just a small bit, but I'll listen to it on playback. Forgot to open up the draft board here. I did want to go with Devon A-Chain here, but I think we'll start two wide receivers, as some of these puppy lobbies tend to be a little more wide receiver heavy, and I don't want to get caught in that avalanche this early. Kind of looking ahead, 36, 37. I think the running backs in this range are better than the wide receivers available. I don't love some of these wide receivers that we're getting in this area. Go down here, 36, 37. Mike Evans, Ted McMillan, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Xavier Worthy. I mean, just these guys are fine, but I think, a pretty good spot to grab a running back, grab a elite QB, and then, kind of at that next turn, that 5-6 turn, I think that's where I tend to like some of more of these running back names as well, as opposed to kind of grabbing one of those early at the 1-2 turn. So we will see what comes back to us here. 3 picks away. There's a name that I would love to fall to me at the 3-4 turn here. And he goes. I still think I'm okay with Breece Hall. I will probably, I'll take Breece. I will take Kyron. I already have a ton of Breece, but willing to take some more. I do like Jaden Daniels as well. Kind of looking ahead to 60-61. Still lots of good running backs and receivers. We could definitely click one of each in that spot there. The question is, would I rather have Tet over Jaden? I think so. I think I'm going to go Tet over Jaden in this spot just because we have Trevor Lawrence available. We have Goff available to us. This opens up a Bryce Young out. Daniel's going to be a little harder to stack. So yeah, I think I will go Tet there. That does give us a little more freedom at this next turn to maybe go 2 running backs if there are 2 that we like in that spot. Oh, Taya running it back on the other account. Thank you. I appreciate that. Up to 2 views on the stream. It's just a late night stream, testing out some of the new equipment, seeing how the new mic sounds. Hopefully it's not muffled and sounding like I was underwater with the AirPods. Yeah, I think just looking back at the draft board here, I don't really love most of the names in the 4th round. I'd probably even extend that to the end of the 3rd round. Usually Chase Brown is not here. His ADP is, definitely see him going a lot more often in the early 3rd. YouTube is not responding. Let's see what that is all about. Well, it's telling me the stream is healthy, so we will take them for their word. As I was saying, don't love most of these names in the 4th round. I've not been taking a lot of DJ Moore. I've been taking a little more Metcalf. I'm lukewarm on Kittle. I want to be taking more just because I don't want to have a hard fade there on, what could be the number 1 receiving option in a Kyle Shanahan offense. I like both these elite quarterbacks. Not taking any James Cook. Was taking a lot of Amari and Hampton early. I have cooled off a little bit, like Xavier Worthy, fading Sutton, and probably want to start being a little more out on Chuba. I took some Chuba early and really have not been taking him since. So Kenneth Walker off the board, a little ahead of ADP. I obviously don't think it would have gotten back to us. but just with looking at some of the names still available, Travis Hunter to go with Brian Thomas, R.J. Harvey, Trevian Henderson. I think part of me deep down would like him. Ooh. Little misclick there. I think, yeah, we will take R.J. Harvey there. As I was saying, part of me was hoping that he would take Travis Hunter. Just because I don't really love pairing Brian Thomas with Travis Hunter. And we will take Chris Olave. We will load up on the Chris Olave shares. Again, we can check the exposures here real quick. Done about 86, just pretty standard format best ball. And let's check it. As you can see, right, 27.9% Chris Olave, very high in Chris Olave. So we'll keep loading up on Olave. I think it's just a pretty bad price. 6th round Olave. I mean, this is a guy who has posted 2 yards per route run every year he's been in the league for 3 years. I think there is a pretty strong track record of guys who do that are superstars. So we can be a little bit worried about the situation that he's in, but, you know, I'm going to bet on the talent and going to bet that that talent can prevail and beat that bad situation. I think the misclick caused me to panic a little bit there and select R.J. Harvey. I think I would have liked to select Trevian Henderson there. Would not surprise me in the coming weeks if we kind of see a flippening of the Henderson and R.J. Harvey ADPs. Just kind of thinking of, you know, getting maybe some bullish reports from Patriots camp and a little market uncertainty of the Harvey and Dobbins split. I'm personally not worried about J.K. Dobbins, but let's see. Let's start getting an idea of what we want to do with 2 running backs, 4 receivers. We'll be back up at 84, 85. Kind of hit this point in the draft where I think I would like Pollard. I have a lot of Pollard. Josh Downs is a good option. I do like Egbuka as well. And I think I would, obviously would be happy if any of these guys fall back to us here. I'm actually just going to keep the exposure sheet open so I can just double check. I think, you know, there's a handful of guys that I don't mind taking as often as I can, but, you know, I want to avoid drafting the same team over and over again. I'm going to put Judkins at the top of the queue and hope and pray that neither of these 2 players take him. And actually, I will probably queue up Pacheco ahead of Pollard. Is this guy going to auto? He will auto draft Judkins. Don't love that for me. Let's put Egbuka at the top of the queue until I can open the exposure sheet real quick, this is why it is really nice to have an overlay tool, which I will be buying at some point here. Pollard 18%, Pacheco 9%. Yeah, we can go ahead and we will click the slight ADP value on Pacheco, giving us a little bit of week 17 correlation actually with Harvey and Pacheco. Hopefully that's a Blizzard game and they hand the ball off 400 times in week 17. That would be our nice win condition there. Gonna pop open the draft board again. I was saying 2 days ago that there's a recent UI change on Underdogs. Not the biggest fan of it. I think I prefer the old format just visually. I didn't even notice Hawkinson came off the board pretty early here. I'm assuming to the Jefferson drafter. What is his ADP in this format? Yeah, Hawkinson pretty much same ADP as the Eliminator, but he just takes a big reach on him here, which makes sense, right? If you want Hawkinson to pair him up with Jefferson, you are gonna have to reach on him because pretty unlikely he falls 7 spots past ADP, which from time to time it will happen, but not something you want to count on. But also on that same note, I think it's kind of bad to pull up Hawkinson, to this other side of the board because there are going to be teams that will get Hawkinson at 95. Or, maybe Jefferson goes, 3rd overall, 4th overall, they'll get Hawkinson at 94, 93, and those teams will be kind of supercharged versions of this one, right? They grab Hawkinson here, they're picking up an additional 7th round pick where they took Hawkinson, so they would have like Reed and Hawkinson versus, Hawkinson and Jaden Higgins per se. And there's the reach on McCarthy as well, so it is get your guy season for Stan J. About 25 picks of ADP. I think he would have easily had him had he waited around. And he's only fighting one guy for JJ McCarthy, and that would be the Jordan Addison drafter. Where did Jordan Addison go? Jordan Addison went here, and he already drafted Josh Allen, so pretty unlikely that this guy's taking McCarthy at 116, but like I said, it is go get your guy season. We are back up shortly here. 3 running backs, 5 receivers. Travis Etienne, I would be very happy with. And I think if not, maybe even a Burden, Caleb Williams stack, and then maybe we tack on Loveland. That'd be our 6th receiver, 3rd rookie receiver, but yeah, let's do. Actually, no, sorry. Let's do ETN, and let's grab Goff to go with Amon-Ra. Yeah, let's do that. I think we'll be pretty resigned to making this a 3-quarterback team. Pretty likely we'll be looking at, stacking our top 3 with Goff, T-Law, and Bryce Young. We have to fight for Trevor Lawrence. I will star Colston Loveland. I will star Trevor Lawrence. We can come down here. We can star Bryce Young as well, just to keep them fresh in our face on the draft board here. Unstar Caleb. And we are back up at 32-33. So really ripe in this range. I mean, there's even a world where maybe we can do something like Kraft and Love. You know, if they end up falling. We will definitely, for sure, 100% need a tight end at the next turn. We also have that backstack option to Brent Strange. So we will keep our options open. I honestly think, you know, obviously we would need an ADP slide on 2 players, but the preference would be getting Love and Kraft to kind of avoid, you know, double week 18 buy stacks. I'm sorry, week 8 buy stacks. Things are shaping up well. I mean, I think we'll have to worry about the Kraft drafter being the 7-hole or the 10-hole drafters. He goes Njoku. This is going to be a little sweaty. Hollywood. None of these guys are stacking Packers. P. Punch does have Travis Hunter, so he could jump me and take Lawrence, theoretically. Which I think is not the worst thing in the world. Tucker Kraft does come off the board there. And Trevor Lawrence does come off the board there. That is quite unfortunate. Well, we will put Colson Loveland up there. Now the question is, do we reach? You know what? We will stick with our Bucks bet, and we will take Rachaad White. I think we will play the ADP game and see if we can get Bryce Young closer to his ADP. I don't really want to. Bryce Young's not a profile that I feel confident enough or happy about reaching 20 spots for him. All right, let's take a look at the draft board here. I do think, just kind of with how this unfortunate stretch of about 10 picks went for us. I think we're going to be forced in some puke stacks late here. Probably something to the tune of, I mean, probably Shuck and Juwan Johnson, to be honest. We'll have to see what comes back to us. All right, back on the board here shortly. Oh my god. Is that unstacked Bryce Young? Oh man, that is... That is something. That certainly is something, man. Well, yeah, this is good. Just gonna have to be Cam Ward. Man, I really do not like this team at all. Pretty disastrous run of picks the last two turns. Man, that was really unfortunate. The snipe on Lawrence, snipe on Kraft, sniped on Bryce Young. I think that the plan going forward for the rest of this draft is to take Tyler Shuck. We can pair him up with Juwan Johnson, who hopefully has a big week 5 because we are double week 5 bye at tight end, but did not really want to pass up kind of a falling Jonnu there. Actually, you know what? We can do Rodgers if he comes back to us. I think I'd prefer Rodgers than Shuck. You know, pair Rodgers with potential number 2 on his offense, but we will definitely need a third tight end, and then this will be a 3-5-7-3 team. Do not love that, but you know, starting 2 receivers at the turn, 1-2 turn, grabbing Tet in the 3-4 turn. You know, I think we are still pretty strong. We've invested pretty heavily at receiver with 5 through 7. That I think 3-5-7-3 is still viable. You know, I think it's one of those situations where if these 5 aren't good enough to carry a 3-5-7-3 build, then, you know, they weren't good enough to carry a, you know, 3-6-8-2 or something along those lines, you know. be truly disastrous if we do get sniped on Aaron Rodgers, as we are picking ahead of his ADP. But nothing shocks me at this point in this draft room. Wow. 4 QB build for Big Papa Orr. Grabbed 3 QBs in the window. Are all of them unstacked? He stacked Harrison. He stacked Jennings. He stacked Dak. Well, the unstacked Rodgers does hurt, but his 3 other QBs are stacked. But, you want teams like this in your pod because this team seems probably dead, And we are back to our original plan of Tyler Shuck and Juwan Johnson. I think Wandell is a really good pick for us here. Gives us some projectable wide receiver points. We're going to auto draft Shuck. I was not quick enough. I think that's fine. Let's just get the 3rd QB and not worry about having to get sniped. I don't think any of these wide receivers are a must-have at this point in the draft anyway. We have 2 picks left. I think one of them for sure will be a Cam Ward stack partner. The question is, can we get Chig Okonkwo to fall back to us? I think unlikely, but I think I would be a little happier with Chig Okonkwo falling back to us so we can stack him with Ward than Juwan, only because we already have Shuck stacked. Saints will most likely be bad. Let's not take 3 guys from that offense. Let's just stick with Shuck and Olave. And then we can stack Chig with Cam Ward, who I have a higher degree of confidence will be on the field more than guys like Alec Iomanner and Xavier Strepo. So we will star the 3 Titans receivers as well. If it lets me queue any of them up. There we go. About time. I've not clicked a lot of Tyler Lockett just because I think he's old and probably washed. And Seattle let him walk for a reason. We are starting to see Chig making his way back to us. We do worry about late. What is this guy's name? Latilne? Is he auto drafting? He does not look to be that way. Oof, man. Big time sweat there. Well, look at that. We do get Chig Okonkwo falling back to us. happy taking him there. And you know what? Let's do Keenan Allen. I've not taken Keenan Allen yet. You know, think there's the opportunity that he could sign somewhere, and he won't be an 18th round pick anymore. So maybe get a little bit of ADP value on Keenan Allen if he signs a team. But we can head back to the draft board. We will do a final draft recap here. At quarterback, we have Jared Goff, Cam Ward, Tyler Shuck. Running back room is Breece Hall, RJ Harvey, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Etienne, and Rashad White. Wide receivers are Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brian Thomas, Tedero McMillan, Chris Olave, Mecca Egbuka, Wan'Dale Robinson, Keenan Allen. And the tight end room is Colson Loveland, Jonnu Smith, Chigakonkwo. Final thoughts. Don't love this team. Do not love this team at all. I think, we got sniped on... Oh, wrong button. Getting sniped on multiple QBs hurt us. But that is going to happen. You just kind of have to roll with the punches. In best ball. So we will wait for this draft to end here. I will title this first entry into the Puppy 2, and we will call it a night. Alright. Just hit a little refresh, get that Puppy 2 entry populated here. There it is, finally loading up. Alright, we will title this one Stream Draft 7. It is, officially the 10th. Drafting at 1:54 a.m. like a sicko. And a true slappy. But, like I said, just a test stream to see how the new mic is and the new setup. We will save that. And I think we will call it a stream there. I will be back for sure, probably tomorrow, ripping a couple of puppies